I guess my estimation of who Li Hao is going so far down. He's super entertaining, don't get me wrong. I just thought he was going to be way more important. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of the Apothecary Diaries. Today we have a comment, first off. Kelvin from the Patreon, from the episode The Garden Party. I may have said this before, but I definitely feel like this is a show that really benefits from a second watch per episode to really grasp what is going on. So your approach with how you take notes and everything is great. I don't really have much else to comment on. Actually, this series as a whole, I feel I've been avoiding commenting like I usually do, since I feel anything I would normally comment about could put focus on certain things, and I'd much rather you figure it all out yourself. Well, one, thank you for uh, commenting about how I do everything. I appreciate that. I'm glad it was working out for a show, anyway. And yeah, I guess also thank you for not going out of your way to spoil me, or actually going out of your way to avoid spoiling me. I appreciate. Way too many comments in multiple shows on the YouTube side specifically go out of their way to point out things that I shouldn't know, right? I guess I get this more in the Gundam side of things, where people will point out things from other Gundam shows in the future about something in the past that I'm currently watching, and it's like, I shouldn't know that yet. Stop telling me. So yeah, I need the chance to figure stuff out first, and I'm glad that you recognize that. Noticed and appreciated. That said, moving on, of course, we have a board. And with a board, we of course have a board change log. Sorry, I am just noticing you guys can't see. I did this other thing on the board that I had previously done with Mushoku Tensei, and I thought y'all might appreciate it because it's built to help me a little bit. Let me scroll over here to the side. I thought that I could use a representation of the familial tree when it comes to the Emperor, especially with all my conspiracy theories and everything. It might help me to know who's associated with who where. So, of course, we have Li Shu, who was apparently the consort to the former emperor. Age things, man, I don't know. There's a long commentary I could make about that. All I'm gonna say is there's a reason why we don't watch Rurouni Kenshin around here, and we don't talk about it, and I don't look at anything that guy's made ever again. That's my opinion. Um, And sorry, I was saying somebody else's name. What I meant to say was Anshi is the Empress Dowager. So she is the widow of the former emperor, mother to the current emperor. The emperor has a younger brother who gets mentioned in the episode. I have notes about that, but for right now, don't know his name. Have put him here as younger brother. Uh, there are the three children that the emperor has had that we know of from, I want to say, episode 1 or episode 2. Put them on the board so we remember. Also, so we could tie them to their possible mothers if that comes up, because there's no evidence that I had in that episode to know who the mothers of those children were. And then, of course, tied them to each of the existing consorts and the children who have already been shown or passed. So, yeah. Again, we'll add to that. I've also considered maybe breaking down the existing board and putting it into this context. Maybe, dotted line down from each consort to their staff and so on. We'll consider. But yeah, new addition to the board. And let's see, just a note about the sideboard that I've made. I'm actually a bit ignorant on the relationships between the consorts and the emperor, specifically as to the fact that Li Shu is constantly referred to Ado's mother-in-law. That would seem to imply to me that a consort is married to the emperor. For now, I've kept the purple love lines between the consorts and the emperor, but added a blue family line connecting Li Shu and Ado for the mother-in-law commentary. Again, I'm admitting ignorance. I don't know how it works. So for now, I have the normal purple lines between everybody else. And of course, I've got notes. I've taken plenty of notes last episode because a lot of shit occurred to me as I was watching it, and I went on a writing rampage. So let's go ahead and power our way through what I'm anticipating for the future. It is an almost stunning level of callousness being shown by Li Shu's handmaidens at the start of the episode, laughing about how eating the food she doesn't like won't kill her, especially when compared to Gokyu and Li Hao's handmaidens, I mean. Even with the stupidity of Li Hao's chief handmaiden nearly poisoning her to death with the face powder, we know that that was accidental, and she had a breakdown at the realization of what she had done. Kanan and her ilk were laughing about Li Shu's suffering as the consort sat isolated in another room. That is just an insane level of, again, I already said it, it's an insane level of callousness, considering how much we are shown every other handmaiden cares about their, I'm about to say mistress, I guess consort is just the word to use. Looking at Ah Dao when the camera was panning over all of the consorts, I had to stop a moment and wonder what was going on with that marking on her forehead. Like, did it represent something in particular that a more informed person would be able to know more about this character for having recognized? So I went on a Google search to find out what it could mean. And it seems to be purely decorative. It's called Hua Dian. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. And is otherwise known as a Chinese flower forehead decoration. Though I did come across this interesting little tidbit. Ancient cosmetic modes often originated in legend. Ornamental designs on the forehead were attributed to a princess named Shou Yang, favorite of Southern Dynasty Emperor Songwudi, apparently from 363 AD to 422 AD. A blossom fell on the princess's forehead one afternoon as she slept under the shade of a plum tree in the palace garden. Liking the effect, Shu Yang wore the flower for a few days. Other court ladies followed suit, painting ornamental designs and pasting metallic patterns on their forehead. This vogue peaked during the Tang Dynasty economic boom that succeeded a period of nationwide chaos. So, that is the origin of that, as I come to find out. I'll also point out that I rewatched, I think, like episode 2 recently, and there's flashbacks to the brothel that Maomao used to serve in, and I think it's one of the 3 girls there. I still have the board up. Let me pan over here real quick. Can't see. Yep, this one right here. One of the girls there also has it, which I didn't notice before, so I don't know why it stuck out to me with Ao Dao, but apparently Peirin also wears, what did I call it? A Huan Dian. Again, probably saying that wrong. Well, looks like we have a new target from my conspiracy mind. The Emperor's younger brother. I had to go back to the first episode to listen to Zhao Lan tell Maomao about all the curses and hexes on the Emperor's family to refresh myself on what's going on here. I could have sworn they mentioned the Emperor's brother before, but I can't recall what episode that may have been in to go back and find it. So I guess this is a call to those of you watching with me to remind me of where that was so I can go back and rewatch that or clues as well. As a reminder, this was my note from episode 1 on the subject. Introducing the concept that someone wants to make sure the emperor has no heirs or possibly no more heirs, indicating towards either an existing family member looking to take control or an outside force to the family looking to leave the throne without a direct means of succession once the emperor is gone, say an advisor, cousin, etc. So I've already indicated from episode 1 that I thought that maybe the emperor had a family member working against them. Either way, he was present at the garden party for a short time, seems to have left, and someone got poisoned? Coincidence? It seems like it may have just been a throwaway line in the middle of a joke segment about Maomao tormenting one of the Crystal Pavilion handmaidens, but the handmaiden specifically threatens to tell her father about Maomao, which could imply yet another character with relations to someone more important in the chain of command around here, and something that could come up later. And sometimes I just take notes on things so that when they do happen later, I can look back in my past notes to see what may have been important and then connect it to future things. It feels like the comment about Li Shu's dress color clashing with Gyokyu's at the garden party was a hint for something, but I'll admit to feeling pretty dense as to what it was. Obviously, there was the element of Li Shu turning up her nose at either Lingli, a child of the Emperor, that not only survived, but wasn't between him and her, or at Gyokyu's handmaidens as just a slight towards another consort's servants. The other read on it would be from from later in the episode, the element that they are both wearing similar colors, and then the poisoned food then gets switched around between the only two consorts wearing those colors. And not for nothing, we had a previous episode with wood that burns a specific color depending on what it was treated with. Would be the kind of mistake you could make if you were only able to send signals based on the color of fire. Like, was a red signal fire, so poison the one wearing red, and then two show up wearing red? Trying to tie those two clues together with this. I think that might be a thing. Okay, more hints to remember, though seemingly unimportant right now. Vinegar, fish, and vegetable dish is the Emperor's favorite. He usually includes blueback, I think it's mackerel in it, but was jellyfish at the garden party. The head cook knows the Emperor's taste, unlikely to make such a mistake, likely the server's fault. Again, just things that I think may be clues in the future. Obviously, they were important for that episode too, but might also come up again. So clearly I was wrong about the scene I had seen in the previous episode where we saw a woman's arm wrapped in bandage with what seemed like burns on it, as it would seem to me that what is being implied is that is Li Shu suffering from a rash or hives from her allergies to the food that her handmaidens are forcing her to eat. In this case, I think I mistook the clue from earlier in the last episode that I was specifically on the lookout for, what actually turned out to be the clue for next episode. So, Li Shu is allergic to blueback, but was given it anyways at the garden party. The dish Gyokyo got had jellyfish, an obvious substitute for someone that would have an allergy. The jellyfish dish was poisoned, so obviously someone was targeting Li Shu with that poison, as she would be the only one with that dish. Last episode, we saw Kanon messing with what appeared to be the food trays, but the start of this episode gave us that callous-sounding discussion between the handmaidens about how eating a food she doesn't like won't kill her. So when Maomao blames the mistake of dishes on the servers, I have to think it's clearly implied to be Kanon's fault. But that begs the question, does Kanon know does Kanon know that a poisoning attempt was made against Li Shu's life and switched the dishes to save her? Then kind of throwing herself under the bus by telling the other handmaidens about how she was messing with the consort by making her eat food that she didn't like to cover up for that fact? That seems like the most likely scenario to me. thus giving Kanan's guilty face, in the end, something of a different tint. Forgetting for the fact that if I'm right, that she would still be an accessory to attempting to poison Lady Gyokyo. The alternative to all of this would be that Kanan is the poisoner and is the only guilty party, not interceding on anyone's behest. But I don't think that explains the food being switched adequately enough. It doesn't make sense for a handmaiden to be that callous towards their consort, given everything we've seen so far. If anything, you could explain away the handmaiden's laughter at the start as a matter of making Lady Gyokyo suffer vis-a-vis the posturing the handmaidens were doing to each other all through last episode, and had nothing to do with Lishu having to eat food she didn't like. When it comes to the hairpins, I'm not actually sure why Lihaku, Lihaku, that's how you say his name. I've been messing it up this whole time. Apologies for just stopping now to give that out. I'm not actually sure why Lihaku gave Maomao one. The other handmaidens seemed impressed by it, making me think it wasn't the participation trophy that Maomao thought it was. But at the same time, Lihaku was surprised that Maomao was a food tester when he saw her on the stage. Essentially, he gave the pin to someone he didn't know, so it's possible he was giving them out for someone else, specifically to people he was told to, without knowledge of who they were. I apologize, by the way, if this is long for a lot of people. I'm Inspector Clouseauing everything, because again, I have a conspiracy mind about what's going on, and I want it to be right. Again, I won't be upset if I'm wrong. I just want this to be right, that's all. So, when Maomao is looking over the lineup of men sitting in rows at the start of the food testing, she points out Gao Xian, wearing a darker blue robe that folds over his chest, who is sitting to the left of someone in reddish-brown robes, before we pan over to Lihaku on the other side, evidently sitting with officers wearing full-on blue robes with a crest on them. I mentioned the colors of the robes and the positions they sit in specifically because when Maomao states the food has been poisoned and walks off the stage, the person who stands up from the sitting men is on the left of someone wearing reddish-brown robes. This person is also wearing darker blue robes that folds over their chest. There is no one with lighter blue robes with crests on them around them, meaning it's a different row than Lihaku's. So, the person standing up could only be Gaoshun. As the scene transitions, we hear someone shouting, "Minister, what are you doing?" Which I think implies that Gaoshun isn't just some eunuch bodyguard, but a minister. Of course, the minister then drinks the soup and collapses, and we see Gaoshun later with jinshi as Maomao is retching up the poison. Jinshi passes Gaoshun the emetic he took from Maomao earlier, which could also reference that it was him, and that's something for him to use later to get the poisons out of his system. He also doesn't look very happy during that scene, which could be, as a result of, drinking poison. Anyway, long story short, I believe that Gaoshun is the minister that drank the poison, and that's an indication towards who Gaoshun actually might be. Jinshi's new hairpin. Not sure who it came from, but the only guess I could make would be Gyokyo, as the red bulb and gold spade on the end match her style. At the same time, there are any number of hairpins out there, and I have no concept of what any of them could mean. So I guess it's just another clue to keep an eye out for. I guess now I'm going to be looking for women with torn dresses and burn marks, as well as a very specific hairpin. Considering how Maomao treated the incompetence of the handmaiden that accidentally poisoned Lady Lihao when confronted with it, I have to think I'm right about Kanen, and that Maomao recognizes what is going on. Especially when she led the conversation talking about the dishes being swapped. She didn't go after Kanan the same way that she did with the other handmaiden before. This time she prepared something for what to do in case of an emergency, for someone that may have chosen the lesser of two evils to save the consort that she serves. I might be giving the benefit of the doubt here, or just going off on super unconfirmed theories of my own, but that's where I'm placing everything in my headcanon for now, until proven wrong. And that is all of my notes. Again, I trying to identify who specific characters are, their responsibilities in the rear palace, how they relate to one another. And again, it seems to me that we are operating in the frame of mind of Maomao, which is to say, we don't know everything that's going on, and we have to learn it the same. But I'm also implying elements that Maomao knows things that Maomao knows things that are going on that she is not implying to us, the audience. The same way that we didn't automatically know that Maomao's freckles were pieces of clay that she was putting on her face intentionally, and had to be told later. The same way that, but apply it to Kanan and what Maomao might suspect is going on with the poisoning. That said, though, I think I have rambled on a bit long here, so I think it's time for us to hop into the next episode and see what is going on with Homecoming.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And again, I do think if I was gonna say, if I did know more about plants, flowers, and whatnot, I could pull more from the opening to try and make an educated guess about certain things. But there's an element of being able to look up the artwork of flowers and being able to identify real flowers based on them. I remember trying to do that with the Witch from Mercury manga, Vanada's Heart. And that was incredibly hard because I was trying to locate where a fight was happening based on some plants on the ground. Like, I would have to be so much better at GeoGuessr if I wanted to try and do that. But again, there's so much elements of the opening as regards to Maomao that are, like, informative of the character. Like, sorry, I thought that was the tongue thing was about to happen. Yeah, there we go. That is essentially what we got from the poisoning, because we know she's excited about getting poisoned. And the element that there's no marks on her arm, no freckles when she's the dancing persona. So it's like, which side of this is real and which side of this is her putting a face? Yeah, it's been a while. And we do, like, zero flashbacks to what's going on back in the village.
そうか。昨日園遊会の後。何言ってるの？毒を食べた大臣は大変だったんだから。病人はゆっくり寝てて。
Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's not Gaoshin.
さすがに昼までは寝すぎだ。
It could still be Gaoshin. If Gaoshin doesn't show up for the rest of the episode, I'm still gonna think I'm right.
今さらすっぴんはね。あら、今日くらい休んでもよかったのに。そうもいきません。何かあればお申し付けください。あら、そばかすが。落ち着かないので、このままでもよろしいでしょうか。それもそうね。
I got nothing against freckles, by the way. I was defending the freckles before I knew they were fake. Freckles are cute.
いいのよ。それより朝からガオシュンが来ているけどどうする？暇そうだったから草むしりをしてもらっているんだけど。 草むしり。園遊会の時は結構な交換の席にいたのに、さすがマ
See, she's even thinking about where he was
あの
sitting.
男はあの男で、次女たちの心を掴んでいるに違いない。
I'm gonna guess he was
小説の
poisoned
貸
and
して
he
いただい
wants
て
to
も
see
よ
the
ろしいでしょうか。
apothecary.
はい。心なしか、本人の目も輝いているような。
ジンシ様から預かってきました。
これは玉葉様が飲むはずだったスープですね。
はい。
ご丁寧に。
食べないでくださいね。
食べません。銀は腐食が激しい
I
ので。
guess she passed that along. That's what she wanted to
美
do.
味しくありません。
美味しく。
これ素手で持ったりしましたか？
いいえ、器には触れず、毒かどうか中身をさじで取っただけです。その後すぐに布で包みました。
少しお待ちください。チョキチョキチョキ。カチャカチャカチャ。
綿と粉と筆です。
Are we gonna fingerprint?
はい。
これで一体何を？
Again, this falls into what I was talking about before, about Maomao being way smarter than you suspect that she should
こ
be
れはその応用です。
for her surroundings.
簡単ですよ。小さく丸めた綿に粉をつけて器にまぶしていきます。最後に筆で余分な粉を落とせば。出ました。
白い跡がありますね。
人間の手が触れた場所です。指先などが触れると跡
But
が
what does
残っ
that
てしまい
do
ます。
for you if you don't know what
腐
anybody
食し
else's
やすい
fingerprints
銀
look
食
like?
器ならなおのこと。銀食器は使う前に必ず布で拭きます。
つまり今ここに残っている指の跡は、拭かれた後に食器を持った人間のものだと。
そういうことです。指の跡の大きさと位置でどのように持ったのかくらいは推測できるでしょう。
Okay.
器を持ったのは。
いかがしましたか？
いいえ。器を持ったのは全部でおそらく
Okay,
4
it
人
looks
で
like I
す。
was also wrong about the Kennen thing, or Maomao's opinion
まず
of it.
器の周りに触れた3人。スープをよそった者、配膳した者、リーシュ様の毒味役、そしてもう一人、器の縁を触った第三者。毒を入れたのは不明な第三者に間違いないと思います。
それが事実とすれば、なぜ上級妃の器に毒味役の指の跡が？
簡単なことです。リーシュ様の毒味役が嫌がらせにわざと入れ替えたのでしょう。毒とは知らずに。
入れ替えた？
いじめです。
上級妃に対して。
Okay, so it goes back to the callousness that I was talking about before.
聞かせてもらえますか？
これはあくまで私の憶測であることを前もって言っておきます。
問題ありません。
リーシュ様の園遊会での衣装を覚えていますか？
はい。確か派手な濃い桃色の。
普通に考えるなら玉葉様と被る衣装を妃が選んだ場合、次女は他の衣装を勧めます。そうでなければ妃に準ずる衣を次女たちも着るはずです。しかしお付きの者は皆白い衣を着ていました。あれでは桃色の衣装を着ていたリーシュ様は空気が読め
That's
ない
fair.
道家同然
I
で
didn't
す。
even think about that when I mentioned the colors.
次
Did not think about the fact that they were wearing different colors.
女の日、
次女としての立場もわきまえられないの？桃色の衣を勧めるなんて。
不甲斐ないリーシュ様の次女たちをアードー様の次女たちが諌めていた。敵だらけの高級の中で妃が真に信じられるのは自分の次女たちだけです。年若いリーシュ様は次女に勧められるままあの衣装を着てわざと恥をかかされ
I
る。
still think this has something to
何の
do
疑いもなく。
with
それだけで
the burning wood color thing.
食事を入れ替えて、さらにリーシュ妃を困らせようとしたと。
ええ、毒とは知らずに結果として命拾いしましたけど。
I want to believe that Kanan
嫌なやり方です。
threw herself under the bus with this to try and save Li Shu from a thing that she saw
幼い
coming.
ながら選定の妃となり、その後すぐ出家した特殊な立場です。妻は夫に身をもって尽くすものだと幼い頃から教育されます。 周りから見れば亡き夫の息子に嫁ぐなんて不徳も甚だしいということでしょう。器の縁にある跡は毒を混ぜた犯人のものだと思います。縁を押さえて毒を混ぜ入れたのかと。
なる
高貴な方の唇が触れる場所を指で怪我してはならない本ニャンの教えである。私の見解は以上です。
一つ聞いてよいですか？
何でしょう。
So I guess it's a sign of disrespect to be touching in that
なぜ
place,
昨
isn't
日
it?
あの毒味役の次女をかばおうとしたのですか？ただの興味本位です。追求するつもりはありません。
That's gonna be a gif. I'm sure it's already a gif.
下女の命など妃に比べたら軽くたやすいものです。ましてや毒味役の命ともなれば。
ジーン様にはうまく説明します。
ありがとうございます。ま、せっかく取り替えてくれたんだからお礼はしないとね。毒の味見ができたら。
Again, in my opinion, Kanan is guilty no matter what. Because even if she did it to save Li Shu, she still its attempt to poison Lady Gaokyo.
以上です。
なるほどね。いつ聞いてもお前の物言いはうまいな。
そうでしょうか。
どう考えても内部犯だよな。
状況からはそうなります。
簡単に言ってくれる。この騒ぎで昨日から寝る暇もない。着替えもできてない。思考を放棄したい。
Still wearing the same
出
hairpin.
てきていますよ。
誰もいないからよくないか。
私がいます。
そこはおまけで。
ダメです。
何を言ってもダメか。
長い付き合いですので。
生まれた時から面倒を見られるのも厄介なものだな。
ジン様、かんざし刺したままですよ。
ああ、いけねえ。すっかり忘れてた。
Well, that's a relationship connection between him and Gaoshan, but I don't know that it adds anything to my information.
またそんな雑に扱って。特別な方しか身につけられないものですから大切にしてください。
わかってるよ。
So many clues, but nothing I can act upon.
それでは失礼します。
やるか。
Alright, what gossip do we get today?
そっか。じゃあ高級から出られるんだね。
今なんて言った？
高級から出られる？
その話詳しく。
はい。高級って外の男性とは会えないけど特別な許可があれば男性が女官を連れ出すことができるの。
ふむふむ、それが園遊会で配っているかんざしってわけか。
I mean, Li Kao is gonna escort her out?
かんざしを使えば高級から出してって頼むこともできるんだって。
なるほど。ありがとうシャオラ。試してみる。
どういたしまして。ママ、さんざしごちそうさま。美味しかった。
I mean, that's what Jalen's good for. She's our resident what's going on around here
もらっ
gossip.
たかんざしは全部で4つ。
Oh, the necklace was a hairpin? I didn't even think about that.
いや、大事なものを失ったあっちは男性とは言わないか。
薬や。
よし。
イハク様、高級の旅館がこちらに。
わかった。まったな。義理のかんざしを本気にされたか。
Oh, never mind about that too. Apparently it was a consolation hairpin.
翡翠宮の次女には一人しか渡してないということはあれか。さてどう断るかな。
Looks like all of my long ass thoughts, I was wrong about everything so far.
お待たせしました。
誰だお前。
よく言われます。
お前、化粧で化けるって言われないか。
それもよく言われます。
しかしまた俺を呼び出すなんて。
実家に戻りたいと思いまして。
実家？これがどういう意味か分かってるのか？
身元を保証していただければ一時帰宅は可能と聞きました。
呆れたやつだ。次女の身分で武官の俺に身元保証だけをしろと。
はい。
はあ、そのためにわざわざ俺を呼び出したと。
はい。
強胆というか命知らずというか。つまりなんだ、俺は嬢ちゃんの里帰りにうまく利用されろってことか。
いいえ、こちらもそれなりにお礼ができないかと考えています。
She's in with a brothel. I mean, I could get you something.
六召喚で花見はいかがかと。
Exactly what I said.
六召喚、冗談だろ。一晩で1年分の給金が吹っ飛ぶ高級技能だぞ。
心配ならばこの紹介状を見せればわかります。パイリ、ジョカ、メイメイ。
ますます信じられん。高級官僚でもなかなか手を出せない三姫じゃないか。
Again,
信じられない
it's easy to
しかないで
guess
すね。
what Maomao's connections are
申し訳あり
worth.
ません。お手間をかけました。非常に残念ですが他を当たりますのでこの話はなかったことに。
この女、他にも当てがあるのか。しかも紅水晶と銀製のかんざし。明らかに俺より高官だろう。この嬢ちゃん何者なんだ。だとすればこの話もあながち。いやいや怪しすぎる。でももし本当ならあの三姫に出会える機会なんて今後二度と。俺はどうすれば。
どうなさいますか。
I guess my estimation of who Li Hao is going so far down. He's super entertaining, don't get me wrong. I just thought he was going to be way more important.
まさか私たちより先にマオマオが。
本当によかった。
いい人に出会えたのね。
ありがとうございます。
どうしてそんなに軽いの。
大丈夫ですよ。お土産は買ってきます。
彼とはどういう経緯で。
成り行きで。
あの様子じゃかんざしの意味絶対分かってませんよ。
そうね、絶対。まったくかわいそうなのはあの子だわ。本当に面白い。あの子どんな顔するのかしら。
これはまた一悶着ありそうですね。
At the very least, none of this stuff that I've been wrong about affects my conspiracy theories whatsoever. It just makes all of my guesses about who people are completely wrong.
3日間の里帰りへ。
故郷である花町はそれほど遠い場所ではない。高級から塀と堀を越えて歩けるほどの距離にある。馬車を出すなんて贅沢だな。ま、六召喚の三姫といえば民からも承継を集める雲の上のアイドルだからな。一目会えることですら名誉になる存在だ。
お、見えてきたぞ。花町だ。
Of course, you have to go straight there.
そんな存在に憧れ、遊郭の
The guy is gonna get his thing first.
簡単になれるものではない。カムロと呼ばれる妓女見習いですら売れる保証はない世界だ。
ここが六召喚か。
はい。
なんだか風格があるな。
中級から最上級まで妓女を取り揃えている老舗の妓楼ですから。お、久しぶり、ばあさん。みんな元気に。
I was about to say, wouldn't expect this woman to appreciate Maomao selling out her brothel for her own gains.
やり手ババアです。懐かしいな。昔はよくこれで毒を吐き出したもんだ。
ああ、これが乗客かい。顔立ちも男前だし、いい体格してるじゃないか。話によると出世株らしいね。
ばあちゃん、それ本人の目の前で言うのはどうよ。
おい、パイリン呼んできな。今日は茶引きのはずだ。
はい、
ファイリン。
李白様、腕の筋肉に自信はありますか？
体は鍛えているつもりだぞ。
これはひょっとしたら。
こちらへどうぞ。
I have no idea what they're trying to propose here.
うまくやってくださいね。
I'm assuming it's not going to be sexual because that'd just be. I mean, I understand it's a brothel, but it seems to me that he's being tricked. So.
仕方ないだろう。送った木簡読んでないの？
読んだから一元お断りのところをこんだけ面倒見てやってんだろ。
分かってるって。今まで高級で働いた給金の半分特別に先払いにしてもらった。
相手はパーリンだ。こんだけじゃ足りないね。
お茶くらいなら負けてくんない？
バカ、あの腕っぷしでパイリンが何もしないわけないだろ。
Oh.
やっぱり
That's what she's
でも
into.
それ不可合力。
Okay.
いやわけあるかい。ちゃんと感情に入れとくからね。
いや、払えないって。
なら乗客どんどんよこしな。さっきみたいな若くて長く適度に絞り取れそうなのをさ。
That
で
is.
も客になるのか？あれはダメだ。妓女たちが本気になり店が潰れる。でもガオシュンやヤブ医者は気が引けるし。
まあまあ、ジジイは家にいるはずだ。さっさと言ってやんな。
So it really does imply that she believes Gaoshun is not a
通りを
eunuch.
一つ抜けただけで花町は途端に景色を変える。立ち並ぶあばら屋に物乞いと梅毒のよたか。変わらないなあ。ただいま、親父。
おう、おかえり。遅かったね。
やっと
Like I never left.
実はあの日、そばかすの染料取りに行ったらさ、そこで。まだ年季があるから、あさってには高級に戻るよ。
そうか。
眠いけど風呂入りたいな。
明日読書館でもらい湯するといい。
うん、そうする。
I mean, this is nice. Kind of surprising that he didn't have a bigger reaction, but, you know.
高級とは因果だね。
Well, that's not very suspicious. Oh, sorry. It's the fact that this episode's called Homecoming, and we just finally got back to the village. I just kind of expected so much more to start happening that the end of the episode did not expect. There's also the element that I think comes up a lot when me and Lessons watch Gundam Seed Destiny, which is that there's a character in that show who has this. Sorry, I can't emote it very well. A grin that they do all the time that has Lessons on the edge of his seat about how this guy has to be the villain, even though you can't pin anything on him. Like, nothing's really been done that you can blame him for directly. The way that Maomao's dad was looking back, you could not draw those eyes any more suspicious. And then to have him say, "What a twist of fate." What does that mean? You know? What's the twist of fate? Like, is the implication that, I don't know, her mother came from the rear palace? Because that would be the twist of fate that I expect in most of the other anime that I watch. Okay. I don't know who most of those people are, so I'm gonna suspect the fact that we have 3 days back in the home village that's still happening back in the home village. And that girl's probably a girl who's working at the Vergas house. That, the one looking wistfully off into the sky was probably one of the 3 princesses. And something is going on at the Vergas house, and that's what we're going to be dealing with next episode. Just my guess. It's the fact that I feel like I have built up a pretty good board of character relationships that it would be so odd for me to not know so many people in one episode. But yeah, no, I guess the thing that this episode has done was cast doubts into literally every note. Well, most every note that I took for last episode. Because it seems to imply Gaoshun didn't get poisoned. So I guess he just could have been sitting anywhere else. And we just saw a random person who fit the exact look of the guy and everything he was wearing and in the right position for Gaoshun to be. Just wasn't Gaoshun. Because they also mentioned the minister was still sick and Gaoshun wasn't. So, what else? Li Kao is just the guy apparently Maomao thought he was, which is unhelpful to what I was anticipating from him. I guess I was anticipating that Li Kao was operating for somebody with more authority, and maybe the hairpin was a transitional item from, again, that person with more authority down to Maomao. But it turns out that he was just a dude who was trying to give out as many hairpins as he could to a bunch of cute girls. Because he even expected, oh, one of them called back? How am I going to turn them down? It's like, well, why were you giving them out in the first place? Like, how does it help you to give them out if all you plan to do is turn people down? Otherwise, I guess the big draw from this episode is what a twist of fate. Well, I guess there's also the element that now Maomao is going to have to send a bunch of her money to the old lady at the Vargas house rather than directly to her dad, because I anticipated that she was going to give her dad a bunch of money to help him out. But I guess, considering where they live, I don't know that that would help him out a whole hell of a lot. From the element of if she got kidnapped from that area, and she's describing it like so poorly that sending your dad all this extra money is just going to make him a target, right? It's like any scene in media where somebody wins the lottery or they win it big, and the first thing that they do is they go out with all of their friends and buy drinks for everybody, and then they wind up dead the next day because they made themselves a target. That guy has money, right? Get his money. So, yeah. I understand that element. Also funny that a brothel outside of the rear palace is going to try and use a handmaiden Maomao as a method of getting more high-class clients. Just not something I considered would be in Maomao's repertoire. Alright, well, that has been this episode. Of course, we do a thing here after we watch the end of the episode. The next time on is we watch another next time on, which was what do we call it again? Maomao's notes. It's Maomao no Hitorigoto. I don't know what that stands for. I'm just gonna call it Maomao's notes. Something's about to pop on the screen and it'll tell you what it actually means. But let's go ahead and hop on into it.
Maomao no Hitorigoto. リーシュ妃の次女たちはまだ幼く高級の常識を知らないリーシュ妃にわざと濃い桃色の衣を勧めて恥をかかせ
Yeah, that threw me off. That threw me off. I didn't get that.
陥れるとはとこんなことを考えている場合じゃない。明日親父に会える。
夜中に何をやっているんだ。
ジンシ様こそどうなさいましたか。お疲れのご様子ですが。
気分転換だ。園遊会での一件があってから 仕事が山積みでな。
顔色がかなり悪い
It's kind of
な。
ironic because they actually didn't get to see each other
こちらをご活用
during the
ください。
episode.
何が入っているんだ？
媚薬ではございません。
なんだ？
眠気覚ましです。
眠気覚まし？
はい。活力が湧いて仕事に集中できます。
なんと、それは大いに助かる。
Maomao is like the Dr. Stone of ancient Japan. I mean, China. Ancient China.
即効性があるんだな。なんだか体が軽くなったような。
少し休んでもらいたかっただけなのだが、慣れないことはするべきではないな。次回、麦わら。花町で何か物騒なことが起こりそうな予感が。これ、
Yeah, it was right
ど
then.
うしよう。
I guess if you were wondering, Jinshi snores. Canon. But yeah, no, she literally says in this, I guess something's going to happen in the Pleasure District, which does imply that I was right, that it is going to happen during her 3-day stay at Homecoming. Again, it is interesting, though. I didn't remember to bring this up in the post-episode segment. The element that they tricked her with the dress, that they all wore a white, but they made her the consort wear red. And I really didn't appreciate the element that they showed her selecting the colors, and she's so excited and she's happy, and then they conspired behind her back to wear a different color. I don't know. This is the element of a child in anime looking happy and excited, and then having the rug pulled out from under them that I just hate watching. It's just, I guess it's the one social thing that I hate watching in shows that just gets to me somehow. Maybe that's why I'm having such a hard time with Infinite Rivals lately. It's all that there. But yeah, I have to believe that if there is an active conspiracy happening, the burning wood, burning specific colors, and then having the consorts wear specific colored dresses has to be tied together. Has to be. And the fact that Kanan switched the food, I do not want that. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be, because obviously I have no bearing on a show that's already finished, right? The first season's already out. I can't make a change. But I just don't want it to be an element of capriciousness. It seems odd to me that her whole staff would be against her in that way. I have to think that maybe the other handmaidens at the bottom of the chain might be. Not for any reason other than the fact that I feel like a narrative at play could be that Kanan is not one of those and is actually out to help. But then again, we did do that weird grin smile thing when Kanan watched Lishu eat the food she didn't want to eat, which would then have to imply that maybe she is as capricious and callous as she is being shown to be. God, I just don't want that to be the case. I don't know. This might be an element of evidence and hope being on different sides of a spectrum, and that I'm more towards hope than the evidence that I myself am pulling out. Alright. Well, I think I'm just going to keep on rambling here if I don't go ahead and finish up here. So, of course, I'll have more notes next time, because obviously there's too much to let rest here. So, until next time, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you, I just said next time like 5 times in a row. You know what's happening.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?